Okay, so picture this. A country swears in a 35-year-old structural engineer as its new prime minister. Now, imagine that same engineer is also a famous rapper who got his start in underground rap battles. Sounds like a movie plot, right? Well, on March 27th, 2026, that's exactly what happened in Nepal. This is the unbelievable story of how Balendra Shah, a guy they call Balen, went from the mic to the most powerful office in the land.
And this quote from CNN, man, it just nails it. The kids who streamed his music have grown up, and in nationwide elections, they handed the 35-year-old the keys to the country. Just let that sink in for a second. The same people who were blasting his tracks about corruption and broken roads are the very people who just put him in power. This wasn't just another election, it was a full-on political earthquake, and it was fueled by his day one fans.
And yeah, this right here really paints the picture, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the face of the establishment, KP Sharma Oli, a four-time prime minister, a career politician through and through. And on the other side, the challenger, Balen Shah, rapper, engineer, a complete and total political outsider. The contrast says it all. This was a wholesale rejection of the old way of doing things.
So the big question is, how on earth does a rapper become this political force of nature? Well, it definitely didn't happen overnight. To really get it, you've got to look at who Balen Shah actually is. He's called the voice of a generation, and it all comes down to this really unique dual identity that he spent more than a decade building. This timeline is fascinating because you can see these two paths he's walking at the exact same time. Back in 2012, he dropped Sadak Balak, which means street child, and the track just perfectly captures the frustrations of city life. But, and this is the absolute key, while he's in the studio rapping about all the problems, he's also in the classroom studying how to fix them, earning degrees in civil and structural engineering. He's building credibility as both a critic and a problem solver. So that win for mayor of Kathmandu in 2022, it wasn't really a surprise. It was more like the first tremor before the big one hit. And, his whole musical DNA, it comes straight from American hip-hop. I mean, think about the raw political anger of someone like Tupac or 50 Cent. He took that blueprint and aimed it right at Nepal's issues. But his lyrics weren't just some vague complaints, oh no. They were like surgical strikes. He was calling out specific politicians by name, laying out corrupt deals, and pinpointing exactly where the system was broken. He wasn't just making music. He was creating the soundtrack of dissent for an entire generation. Okay, so he's got the street cred from his music, and he's got the technical smarts from his engineering degrees. But how does that actually work when it comes to, governing? Well, his time as Kathmandu's mayor gives us a massive clue. It wasn't just a job for him. It was almost like a performance, a preview of the disruptive, confrontational style he was about to unleash on the whole country. And as mayor, man, he did not waste a single second. He immediately starts live streaming city council meetings, which in Nepal was a totally radical move for transparency. He's launching these huge cleanup drives. And then you get this amazing political theater. He literally ordered garbage collectors to stop service at the prime minister's office just to protest the government not doing its job. I mean, who does that? He was confrontational, knocking down illegal buildings and even sparking diplomatic fights with a controversial map. Every single move is sending a message. I am not here to play by the old rules. And of course, all this stuff sparked a massive debate, which really boils down to this one question. Was this actually effective leadership, or was it just populist overreach? His supporters saw a leader who was finally willing to break things to get things done. But his critics, they were worried. They saw a strong man in the making, someone who was acting without any restraint. The whole country was divided, and that debate was raging. And look, that debate over his leadership style probably could have gone on for years. But then, a national crisis just blew up and changed the entire game. To understand how Balen Shah went from this controversial mayor to the prime minister, you have to understand the firestorm that was September 2025. History is going to remember it as the Gen Z revolution. And the spark? It was an incredibly tone-deaf move by the government to ban social media. For a generation that lives and breathes online, this wasn't just some minor inconvenience. It felt like a direct attack on their entire world. That was the final straw. Young people just poured into the streets. And it wasn't just about the ban anymore. It was about everything. The corruption, the lack of jobs, the feeling that their future was being stolen. The government's response was brutal. An official report later confirmed the tragic cost. 76 people killed in the crackdown. 76. That number changed everything. The protests turned into a national tragedy. The public anger was just uncontrollable. The government of KP Sharma Oli simply couldn't survive it. It collapsed, and a snap election was called. So the stage was just perfectly set, right? You've got this super angry, super mobilized youth vote on one side, and a completely disgraced political establishment on the other. The election of March 2026 wasn't going to be just a simple vote. No, this was going to be a reckoning. And the results? Well, you can see them right here. And they were absolutely staggering. Balen Shah's party, the RSP, running on this platform of anti-corruption and meritocracy, took 182 out of 275 seats. That's a near two-thirds majority. And just look at the old guard, the Nepali Congress, the CPN-UML. They were completely decimated. This wasn't a victory. This was a political annihilation. And hey, if you need just one more data point to really understand the scale of this revolution, here it is. Shah ran directly against the former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli in Oli's own political stronghold. And he didn't just win, he crushed him, setting a new national record for the most votes ever received by a candidate. It was the ultimate symbolic slaying of the old guard. But you know what they say, right? Winning the election was the easy part. Now, Balen Shah actually has to govern. And as he takes office, he is facing this immense, almost impossible weight of expectation, primarily from the very generation that just put him in power. His new government has laid out 3 core promises, and they're a direct answer to the demands of the revolution. First up, justice. They're going to prosecute the officials responsible for the 2025 protest killings. Second, opportunity, creating jobs to tackle one of the highest youth unemployment rates in South Asia. And third, reform, creating a leaner, more efficient government and breaking from that tradition of bloated, corrupt cabinets. Political analyst Chandra Dev Bhatta sums it up perfectly here. The electorate is desperate for change. And desperate is the key word. This isn't a desire for a few little tweaks here and there. No, the young people who marched in 2025, who saw friends hurt or even killed, are demanding a complete systemic transformation. The pressure on Balen Shah to actually deliver is unlike anything a Nepali leader has ever faced. And so, we're left with this final defining question. For more than a decade, the rapper was brilliant at diagnosing Nepal's problems. He told everyone exactly what was wrong. But now, can the Prime Minister deliver the cure? The music has stopped, and the real work begins now.